and a very warm welcome to the Early Years Summit with me, Kathy Brodie. This summit is all about leading practice and how practitioners and educators can reflect on their practice to give children the very best opportunities in their care. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Diana Suskind. Diana is a Resources for Infant Educarers, RIE Associate, a former Associate Professor of Education, an international early childhood consultant, artist and ardent traveller. Diana coined the term tarry time, which I love, and we're going to be talking about that. That was in her doctoral thesis. Diana created Stonework Play in Nepal in 2011 as a means to foster creativity with the children who are more used to rote memorisation without ruining the school's budget. Enthusiasm for her method encouraged her to introduce it throughout the US and abroad. Stonework Play inspires children and adults to create meaningful stories through contact with nature, something that Diana passionately believes is needed in the modern world today. A very warm welcome to the Early Years Summit, Diana Suskind. Today is all about supporting our children and ensuring that they have the very best of care, and we've called it children's wellbeing. So could you just explain to us a little bit about what Stonework Play is and how that relates to children's wellbeing, please?
Namaste. It's an honor and pleasure to be with you today. I'd like to start off with a poem, and I'm going to put a stone on top of my hand. And people, this is how I start all my talks, I guess. I wish I was a little stone, a-sitting on a hill. This is a hill. Doing nothing all day long, just a-sitting still. I wouldn't eat. I wouldn't sleep. I wouldn't even wash. I just sit and sit 1,000 years and rest myself, gosh. I want you to pay attention to the stone and the magic a stone has. Stones are kinesthetic medium, never fixed in a place or meaning. The ground is an endless canvas, and the hands arrange the stones are the brushes that move them. Stonework Play is really just an open invitation to work with stones. It's an open invitation to harness nature, its power that enriches the imagination. Stonework Play provides a distinctive opportunity for teachers and parents to engage with children in authentic, creative, and natural activity. It could become your best friend. And I was thinking for the last couple of days, something that's really important, because there's 5 steps that I created for Stonework Play, but it's developmentally appropriate when and where. And initially, I've been focusing lately on babies, because I'm going to be doing a workshop with babies and stones. And it's so important to allow it to start right when they're real little, and they're not going to swallow it if you big enough stones. And it's just an opportunity, like, so when they're toddlers, they move the stones back and forth, or they can plop them in the water. And then when they get older, when they're 3, maybe they can share their story with you, and you write it down until they can do all 5 steps on their own. But it's like developmentally, I thought of it, that Stonework Play is kind of developmentally appropriate by itself, and that you can just let it roll on.
If you can tell us what those 5 steps of Stonework Play are, please, Diana.
Okay, the first one is gathering. That's basically the teacher or whoever, and the parents and the children, they bring the stones in, and it's really powerful when they do it themselves. And then you collect the stones, and the children collect the stones with a basket, different assortment of, even a log, the inside of a log. I mean, just as much as you can get with nature as possible. And then they choose the stones that they want to create, what they're going to create. There's no hurry, and it's very important how and which stones they pick. So you want to feng shui your space so it looks really beautiful, that they want to pick up the stones. And you can sort them by color or by shapes, large or white ones and black ones and red ones, and they really Then they can choose. And I believe so much that they should be the initiator. They should pick what they want. So that's gathering. The next one is constructing. And that is an endless variety of stones. And there's an infinite source of stories to create with them. They can do anything. They can use various shapes and sizes and create their unique story. And they independently work on their own. And this is when there's no talking. That I want them to really connect with nature. And I'm kind of pretty strict with it. And because when one talks, then the next talks and they don't pay attention. Like I just was in swimming class, and if I monkey around, then the next person monkeys around. So it's really silent. And the children respect that, and the adults. And I should say that I want the adults to do it before they do it with children. And to, it's so they feel it. That's why I want it. You are going to do it today, I know. So they're going to construct. They can build up, round. They can start this construction and, they got to get more stones, or it's becoming something totally different than they thought was going to happen. But the stones magically tell them what to do. And it's with older people, it tells them about what's important in their childhood or, a long time ago. And with children, it tells what's bothering or what's they're happy about right now. So that's constructing. Then the favorite word I have is called rendering. And rendering is just such a lovely word. It means to pretend, it really means to copy what you just did, because stones will scatter and they have to be put away. And you want a documentation of what you did, what was so important while you were doing the stones, drawing exactly what they see. And I'm not strict with it, but they're only with a pencil. And so I teach them how to smudge and to make so it looks deeper than the other, so they can see how the stones, I'm looking at a picture. So the stones, like even this little one, how she makes the stones that are dark and little, and it makes sense out of how they can remember. And it's math and science, because they have to count how many stones they use. Initially, sometimes children will draw a stick figure of what they did, and you have to remind them they have to draw every single stone they use and how it's shaped and how it feels to go together. So that's really important. So they render and they take their time. And so the first one is gathering. What was the second one?
Constructing.
What's the third one?
Rendering.
And the fourth one is narrating. And narrating is they write or dictate their story of how they made it, how it made them feel. Sometimes they're poems, sometimes they're songs. It's just so interesting what they come up with. So that's the narrating. And then the last one is sharing. And during the sharing, some people finish different times, so they walk around and look at the other people's, if you do it in a group. But if you have it in your classroom, on one-to-one, or it's in the outside, they can do it whenever they want, and they don't have to share right then. So the 5 steps are gathering, say it with me, constructing, rendering, narrating, and sharing. So it sounds very easy, and it's not such a big thing, but it is. And what I told you before, it is developmental.
One of the things that I really like about Stonework Play is that it is sort of self-developmental, isn't it? If that's a phrase, that children will work at their own level. But you also encourage them to work at higher levels, because they're sharing that, the narration, the looking at other children's work. And I think it's quite supportive of each other as well, isn't it?
And they're so surprised after everyone tells their stories. I didn't know that about you. I didn't know that was important to you. I didn't know you could horseback ride, and it tells about the person that they don't share. So it's an opportunity for them to share, to get what's important and to tell the world or tell whoever they want,
Yeah. And of course, you've got some really interesting examples as well, where children's well-being has been supported by Stonework Play. And I'm thinking particularly of the earthquake example. Could you just tell us through that, Diana?
Sure. I was in Nepal. In fact, that's where I started it in 2011. And there's a video, 5 birthday cakes. And it's the first day I took my camera out and took it, and it's shaking and stuff. And I knew then I had something that nobody could take away once they try it. And it's like a friend. You have a friend with Stonework Play. So what happened after I already taught the children at Hem School how to do Stonework Play. So when the earthquake happened, they went to the river, got their stones, and they made sense out of the earthquake as much as you could. And there's some really stories that they, like for instance, they put their stones all in the middle of the room. And I said, why? And I didn't say why, the teacher said why, and they said all of the stones are the people gathered together in an open space, hoping to be safe during the rest of the earthquake. Wow. Another one where they drew a man laying down in a kind of fetal position, and they said that man laid down on the floor and just cried and cried. So they got to get their feelings out. They got to also build them up and tear them down and build them up again, and that empowered them that they are okay. And the earthquake was horrible, but they have a tool to share their feelings and also to show that they're competent and they can live through this.
So can I just take us on to tarry time then, which I think is a beautiful expression. Where does tarry time fill in with this?
Well, I started tarry time for my dissertation especially because I was telling you before I interrupt, and it's not, because I'm so excited about what I'm doing. But tarry time is the amount of silence between interaction, verbal and nonverbal interaction. And with babies, we tend to not even give them any tarry time. We pick them up, and then what I learned with Magda Gerber, and we don't treat them with respect, even though we think we do. So tarry time is the time to just wait. It's kind of like a waiting time to do the next thing. So with a baby, I'm going to pick you up, but you don't do it while you're saying, I'm going to pick you up while you're picking them up. You say it first, and then I'm going to pick you up. And that's even giving more respect. And I think Stonework Play and respecting children and babies is it helps when you use the phrase tarry time to slow down. And I then took what I learned with babies, I did it with stones, that even the act of all the parts of Stonework Play, the steps, is to slow down and to be present with each one. And the reverence and the silence that goes on while they're doing it. And then you can feel the room, or when I do that, it just all of a sudden everybody's into their own world. And it's like almost meditation, but they're doing their own thing, but they're all doing it at the same time. So it empowers the whole group.
Yeah. And I think it must help that it is done in silence, because you do have that time to just get on with your own thoughts then, don't you?
Yeah, and also to feel that stone and to feel the irregularities and the shapes of it. And it's this, Yeah. When you were a child, did you like to play with stones? I loved it when I was little.
Oh, absolutely. And I spent many walks coming back with both my boys with pockets full of different stones that we had to take home because they were, a particular shape or a particular colour. And I'm sure that I've got them in a big bag downstairs somewhere,
No, go farther. When you were a child, do you remember?
Yes, I do. Although I don't remember playing with them quite so purposefully, which is, I think, the really interesting thing about Stonework Play, that it's a really thoughtful process, isn't it?
And no one can take it away from you once you have it. You can use it when you're happy, when you're sad, when you want to celebrate. With the family coming around, you could turn off the television and the computer. That's in our society, and that's in our lives right now. So I guess I'm doing this, and I'm so passionate about it because it's an opportunity just to step back for a moment and get back to nature.
Yeah, absolutely. So are there any particular groups of children, any particular types of children for whom this is really beneficial then?
I sent you a picture of a school, an outside inclusion classroom. Anna is just amazing, and I was just in Malaysia, and that's part of their curriculum. They use children that are autistic and children with special needs. They tend to be more deliberate and want to continue making the stone, the process of it. And it's just, I was so amazed that they didn't know. And that's another thing. People think, they'll throw stones, that's in America. And it's not true. I've never seen a child throw a stone. Maybe they'll throw it down, but they don't throw it at each other because how I set it up, that it's something really special. So that was in Malaysia. Children that have nothing, they have nothing. In fact, they're orphans. And I guess that touched my heart the most. And you have a little clip that she says, "I'm so happy." Like, I just shared it with them. They went outside and it was almost dusk. And that's why the picture's dark. And then she says, "Makes me so happy."
School name is Hebron Public School. Today I'm so glad to make Stone's house. I feel so proud.
And then I went to another orphanage, and I guess those touch me the most because they have such nothing to play with, and they have them. They have the stones on the ground, and then their creativity can flourish. And I think that's very special. So the orphanage, I've done it in hospitals, children in cancer wards. I did it in Australia, Peter Mac Cancer Center. And they told amazing stories while they were waiting for chemotherapy and how the doctors all helped them. And so so that's in hospitals. I've done it with older people, with people that have autism or any kind of special needs, and I've done it, and even with babies. I mean, I think I've done it the gamut. I've done thousands of people, and I haven't seen anyone not flourish with it, that they like doing it. So I think that's really important. Children enjoy being seen and heard and appreciated for what they can do. And how often do we give them that opportunity? This is true for everyone, but somehow this is not given due to young children. So Stonework Play allows all of this, I think. Children share their point of view, their take on the work, and they share it. The listener is there to take it all in and really hear the child. And lastly, the creation, displayed as it is in the moment, reflects the child's fully in that moment. So who being seen for who they are, as they are, with their story reflecting their life. Now, doesn't that feel a sense of worth, a sense of well-being? Nikki? So it's all wrapped up in Stonework Play. I really do think it's an activity, but all those things can happen, because we're really respecting the child.
And of course, the other beautiful thing about Stonework Play is that there's no right or wrong. And I know you've got pictures there from, helicopters to all sorts of things, but there is no right or wrong, is there?
Oh, isn't that nice?
Lovely.
Yeah. So I do think it nurtures, these are big words, but empathy, kindness, compassion, belonging, peace, and understanding. For that just moment. So maybe that would go on into our crazy world now. I do Stonework Play with, or you can, with agencies. Like Staples did it with Kodak, and architecture firm did it with before doing a big project. Like, what do you want to get out of it? And, early childhood people, it's just so good. That's why I think they need to feel it themselves, and then you can always paraphrase of what's important with this group of people. What do you want to come out with it? So
I think that would be a lovely activity for practitioners, and we're sort of straying into practitioner well-being there as well. But to start off, maybe if you have a conference day or a big staff meeting, to start off with a piece of stonework play and go and listen to each other's stories, and maybe what's worrying them or what they hope for their children in their class maybe. But there's tons of things you could do with that, isn't there?
Mm-hmm. And at first, we're wasting time, but you're not wasting time. And the stuff that comes out, it's just... Again, no one can take it away from them.
So that it sounds just amazing. Stonework Play sounds really amazing. I know that you're going to be having an International Stonework Play Day, November the 3rd. Tell me all about it, Diana. What are you hoping for from this?
Like what we were talking about before, it's a date. And 3 is my favorite number. And I just want the world to do it. Whenever they, as many people as we can, children all over, in factories and in hospitals and anywhere they can, to do stonework play. And then we can feel more connected, and I think maybe more peaceful and more respectful of each other. So Tanya Maloney, I was with her in Australia last year, and we did it for the first time. And it's starting little, and it keeps getting bigger and bigger. She did a wonderful job on the site. So it's International Stonework Play Day on Facebook, and you go down and you can get an ebook for free, and it tells you exactly all the stages and all the steps and how to actually do the stonework play. And then you just put it up. So it's free. And you just go start collecting stones now. And I'm so happy we're doing this, Kathy, so more people will do it.
Yes, definitely. I just think it's such a lovely idea. And as you say, you don't have to spend any money. It doesn't matter what age children you're with or what stage they're at. Everybody can do this. And I love the idea of rendering and sharing as well. I think that's really nice too.
So everybody's story is unique, and it can help inspire other stories for them to tell. And in listening and hearing other people's stories around the world, it'll be wonderful when it's all up on International Stonework Play Day. And people, they make sure you share that, or sign a paper that it's okay to go up. But there's one about, if you go on Facebook with Stonework Play or International Stonework Play, there's stories that are up there that are amazing. And like in Australia, there was a teacher that did it like a week later and asked, what do they remember and what was the order? And so it can be a teaching tool later on, And I lived on a kibbutz, and I recommend that you you keep their papers and keep it in a folder, and you can see how their stories progress through the years. Like, that would be nice.
That would be really, and you're talking about working with babies there, but that would be really nice sort of folder of work, and to show, we're always talking about evidencing children's learning. What a lovely way to evidence children's learning through their own drawings, through their own creativity. How fantastic.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
There was this little girl, a very clever little girl. Her name was Isabel, from Adelaide, South Australia, in Linden Park Primary School. I went, she collected the stones. I knew her mom from China, and they moved there, and I came to visit. And I walked over to her construction on the floor, and she set up her stones to depict 2 representations. She had set up the stones. One was a simple flower, and there appeared to be something bigger, lighter stone in between the flower's stone stem and the leaf. I wondered what it was. Next to the flower was a lovely butterfly, also made out of stone. Isabel named her story The Sticky Flower. She shared that the butterfly went to get nectar from the flower, and when she had finished, she realized the thing on the leaf that was pink and sticky was bubble gum, and she was stuck. So she saw a little boy and asked for help, and he got her unstuck. So let's just try to get unstuck. A word used by Isabel, and like the butterfly, let stonework play, this sounds like a commercial, as a tool to enrich our lives and the lives of those we teach. And thank you for listening to this journey which has brought me here today. Donna Bob, thank you. Magda Gerber, who I trained with, she's an international infant specialist, I mean, she's deceased, but she said something that I think is really important. It said, I believe that no matter how much and how fast the world changes, a well-grounded, competent, and confident person is best equipped to adapt to it. It's by Magda Gerber. And I think with all my heart that Stonework Play can help provide that. Just a little.
Yeah, that's a lovely place to finish. Thank you so much indeed, Diana.